So this morning I'm here with Richard Conway from Pure SEO, and Pure SEO is New Zealand's largest and most awarded search engine optimization company. Is that correct?
It is.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming on board today. Appreciate that.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Richard, you and I have known each other for a long time. You actually were quite instrumental in helping me with my business many years ago. I don't know if you remember, but you took me out for lunch one day and we talked about some ideas around business, and that really kickstarted my career. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it. We'd like to tell me a little bit about, your journey to becoming the business person you are today, and maybe start with just giving our listeners a bit of a sense of a professional and a personal best that you hold dear to yourself.
Cool. It's not been an easy journey. Came to New Zealand in 2009 from the UK, and my wife's also British.
Yep.
Came here traveling in our early 20s, fell in love with the place and thought we're better to bring up kids. So came to New Zealand, thought walk into a job, no one wanted to give me a job, no Kiwi experience.
I've been there.
Yeah. So really the early days were really, really, really hard. Didn't know anyone in New Zealand, didn't know anything about anything, wanted to start a business, had a few different ideas. And so, the early days were just sort of pretty hard. And then like the personal best is I look back, I sit down, I go to our office, and there's all these people that rely on me for their income, and we've got a big building, and we've got all this cool stuff happening and lots of clients, and I never would have believed it at the beginning. And it's those incremental, the constant momentum, constantly doing something every day to push towards things that creates those big things. You can't necessarily see that in the early days, and it's quite inspiring to look back and see, wow, this idea turned into this thing that, pays 70 odd people their wages and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Yeah. So where did the idea come from? So
I ran a company for someone else in the UK, and we spent lots of money on digital marketing. I had a few ideas when I came to New Zealand of different businesses, got a background in commercial property. So there was something around property. There was a few other things. I'd found a business partner for the commercial property thing. They pulled out at the last minute, and I thought, I really don't need anyone else. Let's just do something myself. And so I settled on the SEO side of things. And then me and the wife sort of threw a few names together and came up with Pure SEO. A friend called John Malloyd, who I met, created the logo for a bottle of Grey Goose vodka.
Excellent.
And just put a stake in the ground, and it could have been other things. It happened that was the one I chose.
Yep. And so, 2009, there was just probably yourself and your wife, and was it just the two of you when you first started, or did you have
just me?
Just you.
My wife was a social worker.
Okay.
So it was just me, and didn't know anyone. And I'm not the most extroverted person, although I pretend to be.
Yep.
And so it was going out, meeting people, and doing stuff that was really uncomfortable. But it becomes more comfortable over time.
Yeah. And now you've got 70 odd staff. That really is fantastic. So tell us a little bit about that journey, because, we often see people say, hey, look at Richard. He's so successful. He doesn't know what it's like to be where we are. But on that journey, what have been the sort of challenges along the way for you?
So loads of challenges. So in the early days, I didn't really know anyone or anything. So, the first year, I think I generated $60,000 in total in the first year. And there were lots of things I didn't know, like I didn't know about entertainment being 50% taxed. Like loads of things you just don't know if you've not been in business, especially in New Zealand. And so it was really hard, really, really, really hard. I had to do everything myself. I had to do the meetings, find the clients, do the work, present the work, create the templates, create the business, just everything. And I'm not a detailed person, but in those early days, when you get the customers, you just over-service them, because you just really they put their trust in you, and you want them to be a success. You'd almost give them a massage on the way out. It's that important to you that you service them. And the idea was always to scale. I'm not someone who wanted to sit on the tools.
Yep.
And so the initial plan, 50 customers, 120 grand a year, 60 grand to keep myself, and 60 grand to pay someone to do the work and rinse and repeat. Model changed, but loads of difficult times, and it's been documented before. We had 3 miscarriages in the first year of business. My wife got cancer. in 2012, with no family here, the emotional, my key staff member also in 2012 handed in his notice to go to a competitor just the same week that my wife got the cancer diagnosis. And there's been so many times where I've just wanted to give it in and not get out of bed, not face the world. And I often think the difference between success and failure is when you really don't want to get up, you don't want to face the world, you just sort of slap yourself in the face and say, look, go do it. People are relying on you, just get up, do it, and you'll work away. And one thing I've learned over the years is bad stuff happens, right? It's going to happen. And it could be 20 amazing things happen, and then one bad thing happens, and then your mind just focuses on that bad thing. And you've got to consciously flip it around and say, hold on, I've had these 20 good things happen and these one bad things. And, as a percentage, you take that all day, every day.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it's changing mindset and understanding that stuff is going to go wrong. Bad stuff's going to happen. It's going to be emotional. I've had business partners screw me over. I've had business partner in Australia passed away in a freak accident. He's a couple of years older than me, lives with a wife and 2 young kids. And there are all these unforeseen things that happen and they can beat you. But I believe you've got to kind of push through and not let them beat you, because there's so many times where it would just be easier to go off and get a corporate job. Or
we talked about that a moment ago, didn't we? Yeah. So do you have any sort of pointers around how you do that? Because when I call it the death spiral, it's like if you keep focusing on the negatives, you eventually just get further and further and further down, and it can almost feel like you cannot get out of it. What have you done personally if you've felt yourself heading down that? What do you do to bring yourself out?
So I met this amazing woman a number of years ago in the UK called Debra Chantry-Taylor. And what she did is she, with her husband, who was an oarsman, they went on this boat trip which is from the UK to the Caribbean, right? It's a tiny boat, 2 people in, husband, proper oarsman. Anyway, they get 20 Ks out or something, and her husband realizes he's got a massive fear of open water. So he gets picked up, and she's got to decide whether she goes it alone. And no one's ever done this by themselves, let alone this little woman who's not a professional rower or anything. Yeah. And she decides she's going to do it. And it took her many months, and she did it. And she put together this toolbox of things which helped her get through it. And those are brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So one is playing the movie in your mind. So seeing the outcome that you want to do and replaying that in your mind to visualize where you want to be, and that helped. Another was putting music to music makes you feel a certain way, so having playlists that bring you into a certain frame of mind. Nice. So I put together these playlists. If I'm feeling down, I have playlists that will bring me up. If I'm going to a massive pitch, I have playlists that sort of pump me up and things. And making conscious decisions to change your mindset. I actually can choose to become obsessed with things like, I've decided I really want to do this and it's really important to me. So by repeating that cycle in my mind and doing these actions, you create positive habits. Yep. I looked this lady up, Debra Chantry-Taylor.
Debra Chantry-Taylor, yeah, I've got
she's incredible.
Yeah.
And I think she gives it away, this free toolkit of different things that can help change your mindset. Amazing woman, incredible. So
fantastic. Yeah. And you went from being on your own to having a number of staff. As you said, you lost a couple of key people along the way. What's been the biggest thing you've learned about people in the business?
So there's 2 sides. One, you get amazing people. They'll just, you empower them, they'll just do stuff that you wouldn't even dream of. So it's finding those people who have the skill sets that you don't. Mm-hmm. So you create a team of different passions and skill sets, and it creates a whole ship. The other side is I've over-promoted people, which has been detrimental to business, and I've not got rid of people quick enough, which has been detrimental to business. And I think as a leader, you've got to be decisive and you've got to make those decisions quickly, and that's not necessarily natural to me. Yep. But if you don't, you're going to have to do it at some point. So you might as well just do it. And that's been a big learning for me.
Yep. And I suppose, what's your role in the business now? I should ask, what do you do in the business? What's your role now?
So I'm the CEO. I have a general manager. I have an ops manager. I've got a financial controller. So day to day, I'm not really involved.
Excellent.
I do the strategic stuff, come up with the crazy ideas, the PR, the speaking, and all that kind of stuff that Rain makes for the business. And we're at a stage where we're going really fast with growth again, after the sort of lull of COVID. And I think my next potential piece of that jigsaw is potentially a marketing manager. I've never had a marketing manager, always kind of done stuff myself. But I think we're getting to a size where having someone purely focused on marketing might be a good idea. That's my kind of next
iteration of that accountability chart. So now being in that role of CEO, where you do get the chance to just, pursue the big ideas, the big relationships, all that stuff, how's that changed your life?
So there was a period where I kind of fired myself as sort of day-to-day a number of years ago. There was a period where I'd overpromote someone. I was coming back into the business and I was doing all this stuff. I'd lost my mojo. I really wasn't enjoying things again. And I did a presentation to my EO forum about why I'd lost my mojo. And during that process, I wrote down every single thing that I hate doing that I'm doing. I just decided it was my ego making me do that stuff. I just decided overnight, I'm just going to stop doing it and focus on the things that I enjoy and the things that really fit my skill set. And overnight, it transformed my enjoyment of my day-to-day. And when people come to me with stuff that I didn't want to do, I'd just say, look, you're capable. You make those decisions. I'm not going to come down on you if you make a mistake, but you're better at that stuff than me. And it just transformed everything. The one thing I don't do now that I miss a little bit is I don't make any sales anymore. I love the sales thing.
But you do big relationship sales, don't you?
Sort of. I've just agreed a channel partnership, which I can't talk about who with yet. But I bring in, I sort of rainmake a little bit. But even with that, I'll bring in a salesperson to the meeting if I have to attend the first one, and then I'll hand it over to them. And the thought process behind that is, firstly, they're actually better salespeople than me anyway. But I don't want to disenfranchise my sales team, but the CEO going out and taking all the deals. I'd rather they earn the commission and they're empowered to do it because, that's their job. I don't want to take away from them. I want to give them the best opportunities. And if I start making all the sales or the bigger sales, I don't want to disenfranchise them. And I'd rather it costs me more money and I've got a happy, functioning sales team. And like I say, they're better at sales than me anyway.
Sure. So in our EOS, we talk about doing what you love with people you love. And we actually use a Dan Sullivan tool, which is about, your unique ability. So working out what you really, really are put on this planet for and making sure you spend most of your time doing that. And we use a little tool called Delegate and Elevate, where you literally list the things that you love and you're great at, or the things that you don't love and you're not so great at. Is that what you did? Did you actually literally go through and sort of write down all the things that you do and then go, yes, that's me, and no, that's not? Or what was the process you went through to decide?
Yeah, pretty much. So I had to do a presentation to my forum. You do a presentation once a month. Because I was really feeling not enjoying my day-to-day. And so I literally wrote down all the things I do and two sides and just, what I want to enjoy, what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy. And I looked at it and it was just staring me there in the face. It was obvious once I'd done that, but you don't necessarily always see that without, visualizing. When you're in the weeds, you don't necessarily see it. And I say it's probably ego that brings you in. I'm the fixer. It's natural to want to fix stuff. But you're not always best placed to do that, and it can be detrimental to the business. You start disenfranchising people because you're stepping on their toes. The business stops growing because you're not focusing on the big picture, and your passion goes because you're not doing the stuff you enjoy. And so I didn't have a formal process, but it was just it kind of came out of that.
And taking time out, we talked about this before, right? Having some time out to actually think about those things is really important. Do you do that regularly now?
Yeah, so I have a massage once a week, and I use that to really sort of think. I sort of just occupy my mind and just do that. I also do kickboxing 2 or 3 times a week.
I've seen that on LinkedIn. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah.
I'm probably not very good. I'm in my mid-40s, but it's just good exercise. And when I came to New Zealand in 2009, I used to be pretty fit as a kid, and then I stopped exercising for ages, and I put on loads of weight. I wasn't fit anymore, and I wanted children. I thought, I don't want to be that parent who can't run around after their kids, and so I decided to start exercising with a personal trainer who she became a friend of mine. And then I sort of moved on and found something I really enjoyed, which was kickboxing. And I say I'm never going to be amazing at it, but it's enjoyable.
Enjoy it.
And I pay for anyone at Pure SEO wants to come on a Monday night. So we have a whole bunch that come on a Monday, private class, get to punch the CEO, which is
awesome. Love it. Okay. Are there any other sort of defining moments in your career, things that you sort of suddenly, either did or engaged with somebody, anything that just suddenly really changed the way the business was moving?
So several things, and they're often from small conversations. So I had a conversation with a guy called Frank, randomly at an event, and he was talking about his business and how they sold it and how they had a lot of their IP and what he defined as a black box, but it's just a piece of software that held their IP. And it got me thinking, like, our IP was basically what's called a link building sheet, and it was on an Excel spreadsheet. Anyone could nick it, and it got me thinking about how do we create something to hold our IP plus also allow us to scale. And based on that conversation, we created some software, and that allowed us to scale. So it was an enormous thought process. And another was a conversation I had with someone around the whole sales thing and why we were failing with our salespeople. And it turned out we had the wrong people on the ship, and all our salespeople were failing for a period because we weren't giving them the right tools to succeed. And so I brought in someone else. I shoulder tapped people who were known as really good in our industry, and I've got someone in. We shoulder tapped 3 people. 2 of them wanted the job. 1 wanted to do his own thing, and I chose one. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made. But it came from a conversation with someone as well, transformative, because I'm not that detailed, that process person, and having someone in that role who basically set up the systems and processes to allow our salespeople to succeed. Just transformed our business.
Fantastic. So having sort of an operating system in place as opposed to just running by the seat of your pants.
And, the different processes, and if a salesperson's not succeeding, where are they falling down in the process, and coaching them around, what they need to get, because, everything is around process, objection handling, and I genuinely believe we're the best at what we do. And so we rank #1 for SEO. I've written a book for Penguin Random House. We get a lead. As far as I'm concerned, why would they go with anyone else? And so we've got all that. And so looking through the process, why would a potential customer say no? And which salespeople are doing it right, which are not, and analyzing that process. And when they're not succeeding, sitting down, looking at the element of the process and just tweaking it so that they're communicating in the right manner. Because if someone's coming to us, they want our product or service, as far as I'm concerned, they shouldn't go with anyone else. So
absolutely. Now, I know that you are the most awarded agency, but you've also been in the Fast 500 and the Fast 50 for a number of sort of running years. And what's been your most proud moment, I suppose, of the business in terms of success?
So probably when I sold 35% I sold 25% to Tony Falkenstein and 10% to Ian Malcolm, my accountant. That kind of gave me the validation that we're going in the right way. And, I've got a lot of respect for these people, and the fact they're willing to put their cold hard cash to buy a percentage, that's pretty defining. That was massive. Like, the awards are really for a PR perspective. Like, for me, that's a brand building, a growing thing. I don't really mean
much. Fair enough.
But they're brilliant for the brand. We've been, I think, Deloitte Fast 500 for 7 years in a row. The only company in New Zealand who have been 7 years in a row. And that's brilliant for the brand.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Okay.
But what does
it really mean?
We increase revenue. It doesn't mean we're profitable. It doesn't mean anything else other than revenue increases. But it's also cool to celebrate that stuff with the team, because it's them that does it, not me.
Yeah. How do you celebrate with the team? What do you do? Sort of not for those big things, but also for the small things, because you like celebrating even the small successes, right?
Yeah. So last Friday we do an annual boat trip. So last Friday we had everyone on a boat trip. We charter a boat, go out. People jump off into the water. We supply food and stuff. Every Christmas we have a Christmas party that sits with our values, so trust, respect, integrity, and family. So what we do is we do a barbecue. I do all the cooking, but people's partners are invited, their kids, their parents. We get presents for the kids. Someone's dressed as Santa, and it's a very family affair.
Yep.
We had about 90 people at our last Christmas party, and it's about giving back. And then we do lots of things, like when we have, rather than celebrate when people leave, like most people do, we celebrate when people come. So we have a welcome coffee where everyone goes round and says something about them that other people might not know, and welcome someone to the company. Let's celebrate people coming on board and celebrate the company growth. So there's all sorts of things we do all the time. Every Christmas, I make sure I handwrite cards to every single member of the team, and I find out what they've been doing in the year, and I make sure I write specifically and let them know that what they're doing is being
appreciated.
Seen. Yep. So there's all sorts of stuff we do, and I think the big thing is genuinely caring.
Yeah.
If you genuinely care, people feel that, and I'm not the best communicator, and so I try and communicate as best I can and show that I know it's not all about me. It's more about them than me, and the success is around them. I just take all the plaudits because I'm seen as front and center, but I couldn't do it without
the team.
People,
And I know you're really strong on your values, and again, you shared with me a job advert that you use that really helps people make decisions before they even get to the interview about whether or not their right values fit. How do you test that because people can come to an interview and they can say all the right things. Do you have a method of seeing if they really truly fit the values?
So I intrinsically see the best in people.
Yes.
So I want to hire everybody. So I've actually been kicked out of the interview process.
Excellent.
Yeah. I might meet someone just before, just to give a final tick.
Yeah.
But, we use the GM and the team lead, and they have processes and stuff. But we do, that is part of our employment process. They've got to fit our values. If they don't fit our values, even if they're incredibly
technically sound,
then they're just not for us. I think you can teach skills, you can't teach values.
Yeah, and you can't teach attitude. That's cool. Okay, I'm conscious of time. We always like to share these sort of 3 tips people can take away. We've already talked about Debra Searle and her, how you can change your mindset to get out of bed each morning. What are the other couple of things you'd like to share with the listeners about what you would either what you have done or things that have really helped in your business?
So one thing is, you look at all these business owners who've built big companies that are successes. Now, it doesn't happen overnight. It's about continual momentum, always trying different things. Something doesn't work, try something else. But it's every single day you do small steps towards a bigger goal, and big things will happen. And you'll look back and you think, how did I get here? And it's just those small steps. Yeah. And the final one is don't be scared to invest. So my first website, I spent $10,000, or my second website, my first one I cobbled together, but the second one I spent $10,000 to build. Massive amount of money for me at the time. First inquiry was Singapore Airlines. Show me the value of spending money. Then I got the opportunity to spend a week with Branson in Necker Island.
That's right.
It cost me $20,000. Again, massive amount of money, but it paid for itself many times over. Recently wrote a book for Penguin Random House. That took money and time to get that done. Again, paid for itself many times over. And any time I've taken these big leaps with investment, with time, they paid for themselves. And it's sometimes scary to commit money that you don't necessarily have, and you've got to be. You can't put yourself in big trouble, but I think it's good to take some of those risks sometimes. And do the things that other people aren't doing. Like everyone's doing ebooks and stuff. So let's do a physical book. Let's get Penguin Random House to publish it. You know, do things that other people aren't doing. Be different. I hate following the crowd. It's counterintuitive. You know, have branded cars on the road. Just do stuff, measure it, and iterate. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, you are without a doubt one of the best SEO companies in New Zealand, if not around the world. How do people get in contact with you if they'd like to talk to either you or the team about using your services?
So go to pureseo.com or email me, richard@pureseo.co.nz. I'm pretty relaxed. I myself am non-salesy. You know, if you're a really small business, happy to just have a chat with you anyway. I actually wrote that book to help smaller businesses who couldn't necessarily afford us, and it's very much a DIY SEO written for layman's, and I just want to improve the whole industry. Like we teach for the Marketing Association, for the University. That's
actually how we first met, wasn't it?
Could well be. And various others. So yeah, by all means contact me, but also if you just want a bit of advice, my door's always open.
Fantastic. So that book, can that be found through the Pure SEO site, or is there a specific site for that book?
Any of the online retail. So,
and it's called
How to Get to the Top of Google Search, a Practical Guide. It's on Amazon. It's on all the
main platforms.
The New Zealand thingies.
Awesome. That's really great. Hey, look, thank you so much for coming in and spending time with us and sharing your views and your ideas. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time, T.
Thanks, Richard.